dear comrade To Lam. I'm very happy that we're meeting again. To start with, I would like to thank you once again for deciding to take part in the festivities dedicated to the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War, and Vietnam was represented at the military parade with its own parade formation. Thank you very much for this sign of respect. We have always emphasized that Russia and Vietnam share a long friendship that dates back not even to Vietnam's struggle for its independence, but to the World War II, because I would like to remind all of our colleagues and the people of our two countries that a volunteer contingent of Vietnam warriors took part in the Battle of Moscow in the beginning of the Great Patriotic War. And there have been large-scale developments during Vietnam's struggle for independence, and all that has underlined our relationships, which are developing in all directions. We support regular communication on the level of our parliaments, and our government structures are cooperating regularly. And our trade turnover has grown by 20% last year, which is a great figure. And this year is rich with events, meaningful events such as the 80th anniversary of Vietnam's independence and 50 years of liberation of the south of Vietnam and 75 years of establishment diplomatic relationships between our two countries. All these are landmark dates for our two countries. But first of all, most importantly, we're going to look into the future together, paying attention to humanitarian issues, talent training, which has always been a serious aspect of our joint efforts. During my visit to Vietnam, when we met with alumni of Russian universities and institutions, that was a very warm meeting indeed. And I'm glad to see that the Vietnamese society really values the Russian-Vietnam relationship. I'm happy to see that, and please welcome.
Kính thưa đồng chí Vladimir Putin, tôi rất là vui mừng được gặp lại đồng chí Tổng thống, người bạn lớn.
President Putin, I'm very happy to be meeting with you again as a close friend of our country. A year after your state visit to Vietnam in June last year, I sincerely thank you and Russia for the warm reception we enjoyed. Myself, my wife, and the delegation enjoyed here. I'm very touched by your words here and for your great appreciation of the relationship between our two countries. I'd like to use this occasion on behalf of the people of Vietnam. I would like to congratulate you and Russia on successfully commemorating this landmark event in the history of Russia and the world. It's a great opportunity to learn invaluable lessons in the will to prevail. This is a triumphant victory of democratic, peace-loving forces across the world. This victory destroyed fascism, colonialism, and imperialism, and brought peace and prosperity to humankind. I congratulate you on the achievements made by the Russian people over the last time, and I really hope that the special military operation ends soon Also, as a result of the Russian-Vietnamese negotiations, President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin and the Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam To Lam have signed a joint declaration on the key areas of the Russian-Vietnamese cooperation and all-encompassing strategic partnership on the new stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony is
Tổng Bí thư
complete.
Ban chấp hành Trung ương Đảng Cộng sản Việt Nam Tô Lâm và Tổng thống Liên bang Nga Vladimir Putin đã thông qua tuyên bố chung về những định hướng lớn của quan hệ đối tác chiến lược toàn diện Việt Nam Liên bang Nga trong giai đoạn mới. Kính thưa quý ông quý bà, lễ trao các văn kiện hợp tác đến đây được kết thúc.
President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, Secretary General of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, To Lam, are making a statement after
Sau đây, Tổng
the
Bí thư Ban chấp hành
negotiations.
Trung ương Đảng
A
Cộng sản Việt Nam
simultaneous
Tô Lâm và
translation.
Tổng thống Liên bang Nga Vladimir Putin sẽ tiến hành họp báo.
Уважаемый товарищ Толам,
Dear
дамы и
comrade,
господа,
To Lam,
товарищи,
ladies and gentlemen,
мы очень рады
comrades,
принимать в России наших
we're very happy
вьетнамских друзей.
to receive our Vietnamese friends
С
in Russia,
генеральным секретарем ЦК
headed
Компартии
by the
Вьетнама.
Secretary General of the Central Committee of the
Вчера мы
Communist Party of
вместе
Vietnam,
со
comrade To
многими
Lam.
зарубежными лидерами приняли участие
Yesterday,
в праздничных
along with many
мероприятиях,
international leaders, we took part in the
80-летию
festivities
победы в Великой
dedicated to the
Отечественной
80th
войне.
anniversary
По
of the victory
Красной
in the Great
площади
Patriotic War,
торжественным маршем плечом к плечу с
marching along the Red
расчетами из
Square,
России
shoulder
и
to
других
shoulder,
государств
with parade
прошли
formations from Russia and other
68 курсантов
states,
первого
where 68
армейского
cadets
офицерского училища Вьетнама.
of the First Officers Army School
Рассматриваю
of
приуроченный к
Vietnam.
юбилею Великой Победы визит вьетнамских друзей как
I
еще одно
see this visit
свидетельство
of
проверенной
our
временем
friends from
дружбы,
Vietnam as yet
боевого
another sign of the
товарищества и
time-tested
взаимной поддержки
friendship
между
between
нашими странами.
our
В
countries.
России хранят память о вьетнамских
Russia keeps memory of the Vietnamese international volunteers who heroically fought in the ranks of the Red Army in 1941-1942 in the battle for Moscow. Last year, in the Moscow Patriot Park, there was a statue erected in their honor. The Soviet Union, in turn, did a lot to help the young Vietnamese state to stand for its freedom and independence, contributing to the country's economy, training, education, and infrastructure projects. And the USSR made a significant contribution to the liberation of the south of the country. The 50th anniversary of that event was celebrated on the 30th of April. This year marks the 75th anniversary of diplomatic ties between our states. Over those years, our relationship has grown stronger, evolving to an all-encompassing strategic partnership, and it continues to develop in the spirit of equality and respect to each other's interests. All this is confirmed by the negotiations that we had in a warm and constructive atmosphere. We were able to discuss the entire spectrum of the Russian and Vietnamese interaction and issues of international agenda. The outcome of this meeting was a solid package of documents and a joint declaration that reaffirms the key principles of our bilateral partnership and lays down specific milestones for our cooperation in the future, expanding mutually beneficial economic cooperation. Last year, our trade turnover grew by more than 20%, reaching $6 billion. We have a lot to work on, but we know just what exactly we have to do to reach the previous levels and to go on. Steady growth of our trade turnover is largely the result of a free trade agreement signed by Vietnam with the Eurasian Economic Union. This document not only ensures preferential terms for the access of our products and services to each country's markets, but also activates exchange of technology and innovation. It is important that Russia and Vietnam are migrating to their national currencies and mutual settlements and seek to build reliable channels of banking cooperation. Key role in ensuring mutual operations between our countries is played by the Russian-Vietnamese bank that has been operating for more than 2 decades, providing a broad range of credit and financing services. Our cooperation in the energy sphere is going forward. I won't go into details of all the things that have been done. I just want to point out that this cooperation has been developing for many years successfully. Today we have approved more agreements regarding Russian-Vietnamese projects. Zarubezhneft is going to build a wind power station, 1 megawatt. Russian companies are interested in servicing Vietnam's hydro generation venues, and our agreement on peaceful use of atomic energy will give Vietnam access to cheap and environmentally clean energy, stimulating further growth of Vietnam's economy, creating thousands of new jobs, and training new qualified workforce. As we have heard today from the head of Rosatom, there are Vietnamese specialists that start working on Russian atomic projects in third countries, which further attests their high qualification. Examples of mutually beneficial industrial cooperation is the Da Nang project, where Gazelle trucks are being built. KAMAZ is extending its presence in Vietnam with a network of dealerships. Russia and Vietnam are carrying out a number of infrastructure projects. There's a Vladivostok-Ho Chi Minh transport route for container cargo. There's a logistics hub that consolidates cargo from Thailand, Malaysia, and other South Asian states. Bilateral cooperation in agriculture is being developed. A whole number of Russian regions, like Bashkiria, Tyumen region, Moscow suburbs, are deploying agricultural complexes with investments from Vietnamese businesses. A dairy farm near Moscow is opening tomorrow. Its products will go to Asia-Pacific region, to the Asia-Pacific region as well. In the humanitarian sphere, it is a good tradition to hold regular mutual culture days that bring our nations together. National weeks of cinema, painting exhibitions, and creative performances go with great success in both countries. Over 3,000 citizens of Vietnam receive their education in Russia. A total of 75,000 citizens of Vietnam have gotten their education in Russia. We are ready to expand that cooperation further. Last year, I was on a visit in Vietnam, and I met with alumni of Russian universities, and I should say that this is a very active group
пропаганда
of
русской
people,
культуры. Вообще это надежная опора в развитии двухсторонних связей. Мы очень ценим, что
a
во
reliable
Вьетнаме
foundation for
уделяется
the
большое
development of
внимание
bilateral
изучению
ties, and
русского
we are very
языка.
happy to see
Он
that.
включен в качестве
A lot of
первого
attention in Vietnam
иностранного
is being
в
paid
учебный курс
to
средней
learning
школы.
Russian
Ведется
language.
работа по открытию русской
It is
гимназии
included
в
in the school program as
Уже
the first
много
foreign
лет в столице
language.
Вьетнама
For many
действует филиал
years, the
Института
capital city of
русского языка
Vietnam
имени Пушкина,
has
на
been
базе
home
которого
to
в соответствии с подписанным
the
сегодня
branch of the Pushkin
межправсоглашением в скором
Institute,
времени откроется региональный центр обучения
which will
русскому
open a
языку
regional
для
Russian
граждан
language study
стран
center
всей Юго-Восточной Азии.
for citizens of the
В
entire
Вьетнаме
Southeast Asia.
эффективно работает тропический научно-исследовательский и технологический
Tropical
центр, в рамках которого
Research and Development
российские и
Center is
вьетнамские
working in
специалисты и
Vietnam,
ученые
where
проводят
Vietnamese and
совместные
Russian
изыскания в
specialists
таких важных
and
сферах, как
scientists
экология
do
и
research in
охрана
important
природы,
spheres
медицина,
such as
борьба с
environmental
инфекционными
protection,
заболеваниями и
healthcare,
эпидемиями и так далее.
combating infectious diseases and
конечно,
epidemics, and so on.
Нельзя не отметить заметный рост турпотока
And
между
of course,
Россией и
there is a
Вьетнамом.
visible growth of
Почти
tourist flow
вдвое за
between
прошлый
Russia
год
and
он
Vietnam,
увеличился.
almost
Развивается
doubling
система прямого
last year.
авиасообщения. В
Our
текущем году
direct air
открылось сразу
communication is
несколько новых
developing,
рейсов, связывающих
with several
Москву
new flights
и другие
opening
наши крупные города с Ханоем и
last year between
Нячангом.
Moscow and major cities
Естественно,
like Hanoi and
в ходе
Nachang.
переговоров мы рассмотрели и
Of course,
актуальные темы
during our
глобальной и региональной
negotiations,
повестки.
we touched upon topical issues of the national and international
Во
agenda.
многом близки
Let
и
me
полностью совпадают.
emphasize that
Наши
many of
страны
these areas,
твердо отстаивают
Russia and
принципы
Vietnam's positions
верховенства международного права, суверенитета,
are similar,
невмешательства во
both countries
внутренние дела.
standing firm on
Координируют
principles of
усилия на
sovereignty
ключевых
and
многосторонних
non-intervention
площадках,
into
в
home
том числе в
affairs.
рамках
We
диалога
coordinate our
Россия-АСЕАН.
efforts
Сообща
on many
выступают
international
за мирное
platforms,
и
including the
устойчивое
Russia-ASEAN,
развитие Азиатско-Тихоокеанского региона.
advocating together the
Хотел
peaceful
бы
and
еще раз
sustainable
выразить
development of the
признательность
Asia-Pacific
товарищу
region.
Толаму за
In
продуктивную
conclusion, I would
совместную
like to express my
Состоявшиеся
gratitude to
сегодня
Comrade Tolam
переговоры,
for productive work.
несомненно, послужат дальнейшему
Today's
укреплению
negotiations
всего комплекса
will no doubt
российско-вьетнамского
serve to strengthen the entire area of the all-encompassing strategic partnership between Russia and Vietnam for the benefit of the peoples of our countries. We are grateful to Comrade Tolam for his direct personal contribution to the Russian-Vietnamese relationship. Ever since Comrade Tolam became the Secretary General, we see big progress in the Russian-Vietnamese connections and relationship in many areas, and we are very grateful for that. Thank you.
Thưa đồng chí Tổng thống Liên bang Nga Vladimir Putin kính mến, thưa các đồng chí Liên bang Nga và Việt Nam,
Mr.
thưa
President,
các bạn phóng viên
colleagues,
thân mến, tôi rất là vui mừng
members of the
được
press,
trở lại thăm đất nước Nga tươi đẹp và vĩ đại theo lời
I
mời
am
của
happy
đồng
to be
chí
visiting
Tổng thống
again the
Vladimir Putin,
beautiful and
người bạn,
magnificent
người đồng chí
Russia
tin
upon the
cậy
invitation of
Việt Nam,
President Vladimir
và
Putin,
tham dự
a
lễ
loyal
kỷ niệm
friend
80
and
năm
comrade of
ngày chiến
Vietnam,
thắng trong chiến
to
tranh
take
Quốc
part
vĩ
in the
đại
festivities
của nhân dân
dedicated to the
Liên Xô
80th
trước đây,
anniversary
nhân
of
dân
victory in the Great
Nga
Patriotic
hiện nay.
War.
Trước hết thì tôi xin bày tỏ lòng cảm ơn chân thành tới đồng chí Tổng thống và các đồng chí lãnh đạo cấp cao của
First of
Nga
all, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the President
đại
and
biểu
the
cấp cao Việt Nam sự đón tiếp trọng
the
thị,
leadership
thắm tình
of the Russian
đồng chí anh em.
Federation for the
Xin chúc mừng Liên bang
warm
Nga đã tổ chức
and
rất thành
hospitable
công
relationship
trọng thể lễ kỷ niệm
myself and my
ngày chiến thắng.
delegation enjoyed
Đây là
in
một sự
the
kiện
country.
đặc biệt
I
quan trọng,
congratulate
mãi
you
mãi
on
đi
the
vào lịch sử nhân loại.
festivities on the
Đời
Victory
đời
Day,
tôn vinh những đóng góp
which is
to
a
lớn
very
của quân Liên
important
Xô, trong đó có những
event
người
that
đã
has
ngã xuống,
forever
hy sinh xương máu vì độc lập của dân tộc và các
that is forever
nước
in the
đồng minh
history,
trong cuộc chiến chống lại
commemorating the
phát xít,
memory of
bảo
those
vệ và
who
đem đến
shed their
tự
blood
do,
and
độc
fell
lập, hòa bình cho nhân loại.
defending
Giáo dục
the world
thế hệ
from the
trẻ
Nazism
hôm nay những giá trị của
and
hòa bình
bringing
về truyền thống hào hùng của dân
freedom
tộc.
and peace to
Chúng
humankind.
tôi cũng vừa long trọng tổ chức lễ kỷ niệm 50 năm ngày giải phóng
This
Việt
victory
Nam thống nhất
teaches
đất nước.
younger generation
Một
the
sự kiện
values,
cũng được ghi vào lịch sử dân
the
tộc
traditional
như một
values.
trong những trang sử chói lọi nhất, một biểu tượng sáng ngời.
We have celebrated the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the south of Vietnam, which is now
Và cũng đã
part
đi vào lịch sử thế
of the
giới
history
như
of
một
our
chiến công vĩ
nations as
đại
one
của
of
thế
the
kỷ
most
20,
brilliant
một sự
pages
kiện có tầm quan
of
trọng
revolutionary
quốc tế to
heroism.
lớn và có tinh thần thời đại sâu sắc.
and a great feat of the 20th century. These two events are especially important in the light of the partnership and connection between our two countries. President Putin and myself have had sincere and mutually respectable negotiations, dwelling on a number of international issues. We have confirmed that the leaders and peoples of Vietnam and Russia have always valued this many years of friendship between two countries that has withstood the test of time and has been developing in the interests of the two nations for the well-being of the citizens of the two countries. President Putin and myself have agreed the key areas of all-encompassing strategic partnership between our two countries in the new time. We have agreed to strengthen the foundations of the high political trust laid down by generations of leaders and peoples of the two countries, strengthen the political exchange and dialogue on all levels between the parties and the states, the parliaments and the common people, strengthen the traditional education of the younger generation in the two countries, to create breakthroughs in the economic, trade and investment cooperation between the two countries, capitalizing on the current potential, removing all obstacles in the way of trade and business, increasing cooperation in pure energy, closed-loop economy. We agreed to pursue special projects that symbolize our friendship in the new era. We have agreed to support oil and gas projects, clean energy projects, investment expansion, and to work on each other's territories in accordance with the international law and the UN Charter. We have agreed to create new efficient developments in science and technology, nuclear energy, biotech, semiconductor industry, and we have always agreed to support joint research and development projects. We have agreed to strengthen our cooperation in defense and security and military equipment, to react together to non-traditional challenges, cybersecurity threats, and violations in the sphere of high technology. We have agreed to strengthen cooperation in education, professional training. We have agreed to train more specialists to teach Russian language in Vietnam and Vietnamese language in Russia. We have agreed to expand air communication and air travel between the two countries, and I would like to use this occasion to announce that yesterday the national Vietnam Airlines resumed direct air communication between the capital cities of the two countries. We have also started flights connecting the two countries. We have agreed activation of efforts to support peace and security and stability in the Pacific region, in the Asia-Pacific region. And Vietnam hopes that Russia, as a permanent UN Security Council member, will continue playing its role in supporting stability and security in the region, ensuring freedom and security of navigation, and in peaceful resolution of all conflicts in the region, including the East Sea, in accordance with the international legislation, including the UN 1982 Maritime Navigation Convention. We welcome efforts within the ASEAN to build a strong and indivisible community within the ASEAN. I'd like to use this occasion to thank the President for his unwavering support of Vietnamese people working in the Russian Federation, and we hope that Russian authorities keep supporting the Vietnamese nationals working in Russia and help them integrate in the Russian community
đưa tin đầy đủ, trung thực về chuyến
Once
thăm
again,
và các
thank
hoạt
you,
động của đoàn chúng
Mr.
tôi.
President
Tôi trân trọng
and the media
mời
for your
đồng chí
sincere
Tổng thống Putin sớm trở lại thăm Việt
and
Nam.
exhaustive coverage of my visit. I invite President Putin to visit
Tôi xin
Vietnam,
chúc sức khỏe, thành công.
and we're happy to
Tổng thống
know that he
và các
has
đồng chí
accepted
và
the
các
invitation.
bạn, phóng viên có mặt tại đây
I
hôm nay.
wish
Xin,
Vladimir
trân trọng
Putin
cảm ơn.
strong health and best of luck to everyone here. Thank you very much.
Господин Талам, наш дорогой друг и товарищ, упомянул сейчас
Comrade
еще об
Tolam,
одном
our dear friend
направлении
and
нашего
comrade,
взаимодействия.
has spoken
Он сказал о
about
планах
another
укреплять
area of our
сотрудничество в сфере
cooperation,
обороны и
about
безопасности.
boosting
У меня в моем
cooperation
выступлении
in
этого не было,
security
но я
and defense.
подтверждаю, что
I
такие
didn't
планы
speak
есть.
about that, but I
Имею в
confirm that
виду,
we have
слава
such
известной
plans.
у нас песни, от тайги до британских морей,
And as
Красная Армия
it
всех
is
сил.
said in
Исходим из того, что
a
есть все
song, from the
основания
Taiga
полагать,
to the British
что все наши
seas,
планы по
the
этому
Red Army
направлению
is stronger
будут
than
реализованы.
anyone. So let's hope our plans come true in this area as well.